Hello, everybody. It sounds like everything's okay there. So, anyways, well, we're at Hump Day. We're at the middle of the week here. So hopefully everybody's having a good week thus far. Um, we're just waiting on, of course, some more people to show up. So, as always, feel free to, well, first off, if you can, if you can like and share this thing, see if we can get some more friendly people in here. That'd be appreciated. Also, if anything we talk about tonight grabs your attention, feel free to comment and or ask questions. I will try to answer questions to the best of my ability. As we're waiting for more people to show up, I'm going to go ahead and turn on some music for a moment while I take care of something. Going to go off camera for a moment. I'll be right back. All right, I'm back now. Let's see. We're just still waiting on more people to show up. 2 minutes in here. Let's see. Arthur and his Knights of Justice, putting evil down. Knights of the Stars of the Temple round. Oh, come on, come on, come on. These are the knights. Come up and break the chain. I want in right. Let's see now, what else? They're dashing, they're daring, courageous and caring, faithful and friendly, with stories to share. All through the forest they sing out in chorus, marching along as their song fills the air. Gummy bears bouncing here and there, everywhere. Find adventure that's beyond compare. They are the gummy bears. They are the gummy bears. All right, so now we're at the 3 minute mark. So here's kind of what's on tap for tonight. We're only going to be reading one article from Bleeding Full. It's an indie comics showcase. Articles by Chris Braley. As I was going through trying to see what to report on tonight, I saw this article and noticed that it was probably pretty lengthy. It'll probably take a good chunk of the time that I would normally devote to articles. So, and the other ones were not didn't have enough in terms of other articles to kind of fill the time. So I think I'd just focus on this one tonight, and then we'll see what we'll do for tomorrow night. There was another one that did come out today. I might have reported on, but I think how it is about time management, how that's the kind of thing that we're looking at here. So let's see now. Um, and of course, after that article, of course, we'll of course get into the wrestling roundup. Tonight, of course, talk a bit about tonight's Dynamite, as well. Just kind of go over what's going to be going down tonight, as well as give my analysis on some of the stuff going on. Of course, some interesting WWE news. Um, as well, let's see, and of course, we'll finish off the show with this day in each history. So now we're at the 5 minute mark. I think I'm going to go ahead get started on the on the articles here, or article, as it were. All right. So, anyways, here we go. Moving up in the new world. Moving up in the new world. Anyways, alrighty then. So, Indie Comic Showcase number 221, Jupiter, Canadian Shield, and Getting Back to Normal. Article by Chris Bray, published earlier today. Indie Comic Showcase. So from Chris Braley himself. Welcome back to another installment of Indie Comic Showcase, a weekly blog where we signal boost a few truly independent comics that are currently crowdfunding their projects, crowdsourcing their funding in some way, or just completely self-publishing on their own. Every little bit of support for these creators matters, from a single dollar pledge to the $25 bundle. And of course, the higher tiers are usually fun too. Even if you can't back a campaign or buy the book, you can share or tweet about these projects to your friends and followers. Which is what we're going to do a little bit here, obviously. On Indie Comic Showcase, we interview the creators, show off some art, and tell you how you can check out the product for yourself. Below, we have some outstanding crowdfunding campaigns this week for you to learn about, enjoy, and hopefully support by backing one or more of them. Thanks for checking these out and being the best part of Indie Comic Showcase. Let's jump in. All right, so Jupiter by Jason Sandberg. Sandberg Publishing, $9.99, becoming synonymous with the indescribable. Okay, that's a very interesting way of putting it. Check out the campaign page here. Okay, so that's just a link from this page to his. But anyways, so Chris Braley, welcome to Indie Comics Showcase. Jason, tell me your elevator pitch for Jupiter. Jason Sandberg. A teen trapped in an unhappy home gains the ability to escape anywhere or stay to become a hero. Seeking solace at an isolated cabin, a family vacation collides with the opening of a hole in space and time. The repercussions of a violent revolution in a neighboring dimension forever change the lives of Brenda Marshfield's parents, and grant her possession of powers unimagined. Sounds like an interesting story. Got a little bit of sci-fi, a little bit of intrigue, and somebody getting superpowers. Almost, and sounds a little bit like the Japanese isekai style as well. So, Chris here, intriguing. Where did the idea for this comic come from, and made you decide to self-publish it? Jason, I am interested in the heroic journey, the choice between fight or flight. Mainstream comic book universes are crowded with redundant costumed heroes. They've lost their novelty. Jupiter gives, that's probably true. I think he probably does have a point there, especially when they're pushing agendas. It's kind of like, okay, now let's use these costumed legacy heroes to push an agenda. Anyways, getting on, continuing on with the article here. They've lost their novelty. Jupiter gives the reader a story where a whole is reality, where a whole is reality in the world. Or I think that's a typo there. I think he meant to say in reality. Whole in reality introduces the fantastic into a normal world and triggers the events that drive the main character to actualize as a superhero? I think we've all had that kind of fantasy before where, if we could just venture into another world and all of a sudden, develop superpowers and become a superhero. And, do we use these powers to help people or do we use them for ourselves? It's always a conundrum, right? Anyways, let's continue on with the. I self-published Jupiter in the late 1990s. For years, people have asked me if Jupiter would ever return. Now is the right time because crowdfunding is more direct than direct market. There is an underserved desire for the beauty, surrealism, positivity that readers will find in the pages of Jupiter. I'm excited to get this new work out into the world. You cause more damage than the criminals you're chasing. We got word bubbles here, yet no tails to indicate who is actually speaking. You even fight other heroes like the Knight of Gili, Giliopia. Giliopia. Hmm. Chris, what kind of comic readers is this suited for, and who is it aimed at? That question doesn't seem to get asked a whole lot anymore, does it? I mean, we kind of ask it more retroactively, but in this case, it's kind of interesting to see Chris asking it proactively, right? Because I know we talked about it on here before too. Sometimes when Ethan Van Sciver goes off on one of the mainstream comic book creators talking about some of that stuff, but where Ethan ends up asking it retroactively, but now you see Chris here asking it proactively. Jason, Jupiter is aimed at readers 8 and up, like Silver and Bronze Age comics. There is lots of action and high stakes, but no gore. So going back to like the CCA era comics, tell me about your work process for this comic. Chris asked. Jason, in response, I go from outline to 3x5 index cards, with each card being a panel. Then I add, subtract panels until the panels work as a page. Then I repeat until the pages work as a comic book. Then I edit for typos and begin to grid the pages using Adobe Illustrator and Adobe Fresco. Now, sure, those like Jason and Rick and a few other independent probably know more about what he's talking about there than I would. But anyway, nice color scheme here. Chris, are you working with a creative team or is this a solo effort? Jason, Jupiter is written, drawn, colored, and lettered by me, Jason Sandberg. I am currently doing final art adjustments so that the book will be ready to go to the printer at the close of the campaign. Placebo addiction. If anybody is come on yet, no. Chris, that's a heavy load. Tell me about what you've been learning from self-publishing through this process. Jason, There are a lot of people who love indie comics, and I think it is a lot of fun to network with them and share their campaigns. Here's some more of the panels, I guess. This actually looks like it's from an older book. Chris, I agree. What are your plans beyond this book? Are there more stories to tell? Jason, yes, I am already 10 pages into Jupiter issue 2. The next 20 issues exist at the script and thumbnail level. Hmm. These scans look like stuff that came from back in the 80s, probably. Ah, Chris, very good. Is there anything about the crowdfunding campaign you think is noteworthy? Jason, the first 100 backers will receive a free non prize. A non prize is the perfect perk for early backers. Non prize. Yeah, that almost sounds like no prize. I mean, what's the benefit? I'd ask what the benefit of having a non prize is. Um, Jupiter is a modern comic book mixing the serious and the surreal, but a subcurrent within the pages of Jupiter is a love of the work of Jack Kirby and giving the fans an alternate reality version of a no prize evokes the spirit of the Silver Age. Chris, sounds cool. Good luck, Jason. And then check out the. So that's from his interview with Jason Sandberg for Jupiter. Getting Back to Normal by John Kratky. This is another interview that Chris Braley did here. Kratky Crisuolo Camacho. Chris Braley. Thanks for joining us on Indie Comic Showcase, John. Tell me your pitch for getting back to normal. Hmm. Well, I would think with the gray, I myself, just looking at the cover right there as we were going, looking it over. I would say there's more of a seriousness to it, but let's see where this interview goes here. John Kratky, out on the prowl for some food, men of the streets, raccoon, man of the streets, raccoon, instead finds a dead body. Seeing the injustice of a stranger being left and forgotten in a such a, so another typo here, in such a brutal way, decide to turn detective and find the killer. As he finds clues, is Raccoon getting further from the truth or falling deep into a rabbit hole of conspiracy, or is he actually being led towards something greater than he currently understands? Another one with some intrigue in here. Bit of a crime noir drama here. Crime noir drama with some intrigue. That seems interesting. Chris, what inspired this story? John, I was originally trying to write short stories about side characters from my graphic novel, The Black Wall, to help promote it. But as I began to write Raccoon's story, it kept growing. I just enjoyed the character too much to give him only 10 pages. Raccoon is an unreliable narrator because his life has been carved out by street living and drug abuse. And who better to take us on a journey as a detective? Okay, that's an interesting plot twist there. That's kind of it. So basically, you got a homeless drug addict who's acting like a detective. That's kind of an interesting plot twist there, John. Um, he doesn't live by the trope of detective stories, so it'll feel unlike anything else you've read. So no Slam Bradley here. Huh? Anyways, I need to go off camera here for a quick moment. I'll be right back, but I'm gonna put some music on for you guys while I'm gone. All right, I'm back. Let me get back to the comment section here. Okay. Well, let's get back to the story here. Chris, who is this comic aimed at? John, this comic is appropriate for mature audiences due to swearing, some drug use, and sexuality. But overall, I think a mature 16-year-old could pick this up and that'd be fine. If you love crime fiction, noir storytelling, dark humor, and shows like Breaking Bad, you'll dig this. Yeah, so kind of a dark noir type detective story here. Sounds like that sounds kind of interesting. Uh, Chris, uh, describe your creative process and how you develop this comic. John, I like to start with familiar ideas and see how I can stretch them. I gobble up comic books and movies. I gobble up comic books and movies, and really try to make my own stories something different, but familiar to the things I love, mainly horror and noir. Um, Development really just comes from putting the time from the time one from putting the time one. Okay. I think putting in the time for one thing would probably have been a better way to say that. But I have notebooks upon notebooks of writing that I've done, and you can really only improve by doing more. Hmm. Kind of the practice, practice makes perfect kind of thought process there, I guess. Chris, introduce your creative team on this project. John, the artist on this project is Luigi Criscuolo, hailing from Italy. At first, I wasn't sure about bringing on an artist from other country. I think that should say another country to work on a comic that so specifically takes place in an American city, Reno, Nevada. But with Raccoon being so unreliable as our hero, I thought maybe it'd be cool to have it drawn from a very different perspective. Now Luigi nails it, but I do feel he helps bring a bit obscured vision of America to the story. Of excuse. What I really love about his work is the humanity he is able to bring out in characters. He has very strong talents in that respect. The lettering is by Eduardo Camacho, who I always work with. He's very reliable and always does a perfect job. So here, I guess Raccoon's the guy on the left there with the beard. That I sitting there with a young girl, with a young adult woman. Let's see, Chris, how far along is the book? John, the book is done. Luigi is updating some art, and overall, I just have to do some other interior work on it, but it's ready to be printed. Anyways. All right, so getting back to the article here. So Chris asked, what can you tell me about your experiences with self-publishing and crowdfunding? John, it's never easy. This is my fourth crowdfunded project, and again, you just have to put the time in. You have to plan ahead as well. I messed up a bit this time in the podcasting department because I was so bogged down with other things, but it's a good smack in the face to always be planning months ahead. Chris, do you have any plans beyond this book? John, oh yeah, I will finish my other series, Home Free, this year with artist Michelle Lodge. We have our older graphic novel, The Black Wall, to put in print. Next year, I will release a horror graphic novel that I've been working on for quite some time. There's a book of short stories in the works, and more to come as long as I have the energy for it. Man, this guy John Cack, he sounds like a pretty busy guy. I just hope for his sake he doesn't run out of gas. He's doing so much here. You have to worry about the guy. The guy might just totally collapse in the street somewhere because he's just so busy with all this. You just hope he doesn't like fall down like face first into the street or something like that. And as always, guys, as I say, anything grabs your attention here, feel free to comment and or ask questions, and I'll try to get to the I'll try to get to the I'll try to answer the questions to the best of my ability. Anything unique about your campaign you'd like to mention? Asked Chris. John, every week I have a new bonus for backers, and the earlier you back, the more you get. But every week, is something special and cool enough to stand on its own. You can also get everything I've done in various formats within the different tiers of the campaign. I guess there's the color version of the getting back to normal. Chris, any last words before we sign off? John, check out the campaign, see what you think. There is a link to a sample of the comic on the Kickstarter page that will really show you who the character is in just a few pages. Once you meet Raccoon, I guarantee you'll want to hang out with him to see what he gets into. And Chris saying, thanks, John. Good luck on the campaign. Canadian Shield and Snowdrip by Rick Piper. Many of you who watch this channel know Rick, as he's also one of my panelists for on the weekend edition. He of course is showing us a side of Canadian heroes. Anyways, if you guys can, if you haven't already, like and share the stream. See if we can get some more friendly people in here. We appreciate it. Also, anything here grabs your attention, feel free to comment and or ask questions. I will try to answer the questions to the best of my ability. Let's see, where are we at? I'm making some time here. All right. So, anyways, the Canadian Shield. Here's the cover for that one. So, Chris Braley, welcome back to Indie Comics Showcase. Rick, hit me with the elevator pitch for these two books. Rick Piper. For Canadian Shield 2, it is about the continuing journey south and coming into conflict with his first villain and dealing with him. The book is in full color and is a 23-page story. For Snowdrift 1, we present her origin story, where she goes from having a life in the early 1950s until tragedy strikes and she's frozen in time until now. So 70 wow, 70 years. Wow, that's a very interesting situation. The book deals with her starting over when she finds out she has cold-based powers and begins trying to figure out what to do with them. And here's Snowdrift right here. Chris, what's the genesis of the creation of these characters? Rick, the idea of these characters came to me for these characters, for these characters in my mid-teens, and I felt a calling get these characters into the public eye. Ever since then, I grew watching Super. I grew up again, another typo, watching Super Friends and Spider Man in the 70s and 80s, as I did, of course, as everybody knows, and loving them. It wasn't till the mid 80s my mom got me some Sprite or some Spire Archie comics by Al Hartley, which were Christian stories, um, which got me in then into reading all kinds of comics. At some point, I saw there were no Christian superheroes, and at that point, I started developing my comic book universe. Wow! So the research that you do has continued for about a year. So that's an interesting take. Developing his own universe of Christian heroes. Chris, so what sort of comic reader is this aimed at? Rick, these are Christian comics, so they have I guess messages is what you should say in them. So they most likely, first and foremost, for people that believe in God. They are written, however, in a way that they can be enjoyable by all. All right, I'm wondering if these are typos or if this actually is how Rick is sounding to Chris, because this time around, like I've caught one or two typos in the previous two interviews, and here we have quite a few typos. Now maybe Chris was writing this article so that he forgot a few things, but just taking note of all that, of course. Um, anyways, they can be enjoyed by all readers. Let's see, Chris, who is his creative team that contributed to these projects? Rick, I have a few different people on the comics for Canadian Shield #2. The writer was a friend of mine named Neil Burke. The artist is Efren Crespo, and the editor is Malcolm Terzich. On Snowdrift 1, it was John Dillard for the artist. The writer was another friend of mine named Chris Waters. And again, Malcolm Terzich was our editor. I handled the coloring for both books. Okay. Chris, you've been doing this for a while now. Tell me what you've been learning. What have you been learning um, from self-publishing? Rick, I have been learning to get out there and promote my comic as much as possible because the hardest thing is letting people know your comic exists because they can't buy it if they don't know about it, which is true, true enough. Hmm. Chris, what's up next for you, Rick? Rick replies, making more books. I already have several scripts written for many books to come that will expand my comic book universe. Good luck, Rick. We're rooting for you. All right, so there we go. So that's the okay. Anyway, okay, that's it for this installment. If you're a creator ramping up your own campaign or have a comic available for purchase online, and you want to feature in our weekly column, click here and follow Indie Comics Showcase on Twitter at Indie Comics, um, and reach out to them for more eyes on your crowdfunding comic project. Till next time, support Indie Comics. All right, so there we go. With that, oh, hey, Metal. Let's see. It's pronounced Turzik. Okay, thank you for that. I should know. I'm Malcolm Turzik. It's my pen name I publish under. Oh, okay. I'm sorry. Hey, Metal. I didn't know. Okay, I didn't know. I was just going based off of what I was just going based off of what I was reading there. Turgish. Okay, or Turzic. Let me see one more time here. So Turzik. Okay, Turzik. I'll try to Turzik. All right, I'll try to remember that from now on. Regan, Metal. Thank you for letting me know that. So, um, anyways, we're at 38 minutes already. So, yeah, I was right. That one comic did take a good chunk of the time. So, ah, yeah, I did some proofreading and editing for Rick. Yeah, well, I'm glad to see that you dropped in, my friend. Um, all right, so that was the only article I was going to cover because, as I said earlier, um, I had a feeling that one was going to take a huge chunk of the time, and since we're trying to keep this to about an hour, um, so we're going to go ahead and move on to wrestling wrap up. There is some. Excuse me a moment. I got to just check something here, but I'll put some music on for a moment. I'll be right back. All right, so I'm back now. I'm back now, so hopefully, anyways, so as I said, we're gonna get into some wrestling wrap up now a bit here. Just with some quick little notes on stuff going on with both WWE and AEW. Let's see. Let me just course, we'll go over the results tomorrow night. I know that. All right. Anyways, so some wrestling news going on. So the WWE. So one of the things they did announce today that the Backlash event at the end of the month here, I believe will be like next Sunday or something like that, has already been sold out. The match they're looking to main event the show, they're trying to sign, that hasn't been signed yet, is possibly Brock Lesnar versus Cody Rhodes. But they have already sold out the Backlash event, which is to be hosted by Bad Bunny this year. Also, in some other WWE news, Alexa Bliss hasn't been on TV since losing the match at, I think it was WrestleMania or at Royal Rumble. It may have been Royal Rumble, but losing a match to Bianca Belair. The belief is it's because they're since they were kind of moving in a direction to pair her up again with Bray Wyatt. They were looking at a possibility of putting those two back together, but as Wyatt's been out dealing with an undisclosed injury, they've kind of put Bliss. Bliss has been off. Bliss again. I think in the case of Alexa Bliss as well as Aaliyah, it's more. Well, in Aaliyah's case, they just don't have anything for her creatively. While Bliss's case, the storyline that they were going to put her in was on hold. Some good news came out today as well as Big E Big E, who some of you may remember last year suffered a compound fracture in his neck after being suplexed and landing head first onto the floor last year. For a while there, he was, apparently he's doing better. They still don't know when he'll be cleared to wrestle, if he'll be cleared to wrestle again. But he's apparently walking. He's looking into some other possible projects to do as well. Apparently, he's going to be an MC for the USFL team, the Michigan Panthers. That'll be interesting to see. So that's all for the WWE news. Now, on some other news fronts too, before we get into AEW stuff. So Bill Goldberg, we talked about this last night. That Bill Goldberg was not happy with how he ended up leaving the WWE, as there was apparently a handshake deal with McMahon, promising him a retirement match that would send him out on a positive note. And Goldberg was not. Apparently, they did not do that. His last match with the WWE before his contract was losing to Roman Reigns. So Goldberg has recently announced the possibility that he might do a retirement tour. There's also been some talk that Goldberg might sign, might actually sign with AEW. To get one last run in. He basically wants to have one last good run before hanging it up, so, and, now granted, he could also still go to Impact or NWA as well. I guess we'll wait and see. But he's talked about doing one last retirement tour, which I'm guessing would probably mean he might do some, some people are saying he might do like 4 shows. It would be kind of interesting to see what promotion, if either independent promotions or some of the more established promotions would have him come. Would he go over to Japan as part of this tour? Again, we'll just have to wait and see. Now, tonight's Dynamite, AEW's Dynamite, is being held in Pittsburgh tonight. As tonight, and there were some other matches that were added as well. So tonight, of course, Powerhouse Hobbs is defending the TNT title against Wardlow. And Powerhouse Hobbs is going to have QT Marshall, Harley Cameron in his corner. Wardlow is going to actually have, it looks like, Arn Anderson in his corner, which is kind of an interesting take. Jay White is making his AEW in-ring debut, taking on Lucha Libre superstar Commander. In a women's tag team match, the AEW World Women's Champion Jamie Hayter teams with Dr. Britt Baker as they take on two members of the Outcast, Ruby Soho and Toni Storm. The Acclaimed with Billy Gunn will be taking on the Jericho Appreciation Society members of Jake Hager, Angelo Parker, and Matt Menard. This stems from what's been going on with them the last few weeks, as the JAS has been trying to recruit the Acclaimed into the JAS, and the Acclaimed eventually just gave their answer as no way. And of course, what happened on last week's Rampage, from what I understand, led to this match today. Also added, I guess, today is, I guess, as part of a Four Pillars tournament. Now, the Four Pillars of AEW right now, of course, are Maxwell Jacob Freeman, Sammy Guevara, Jack Perry, and Darby Allin. These are the four young guys who came into the company, who've basically been with the company from day one, who've been MJF, of course, now the AEW World Champion. Sammy Guevara is a 3-time TNT champion. Darby Allin's a 2-time TNT champion, and Jack Perry, of course, is a former World Tag Team champion. But these four young guys have basically been much of the catalyst of AEW's foundation. And right now, the other three members of the Village, who are not the Allen, Perry, and Guevara, all vying for a chance to meet MJF for the title. To me, I think personally, I'd like to see an elimination 4-way. But they're not going to do that, so I don't think they're going to do that, at least not now. Maybe some point later, but anyway, so that's what's going on in AEW. So let's see, where are we at on time here? 49 and a half. So we're almost at the 50-minute mark. So I guess it's a good time to start finishing up here. And let's see, 73, 93, 2013, and 2003. Okay. So without any further ado, today is Wednesday, April the 19th, 2023. So why don't we go ahead, take a look back at this day in Niche history. History! So with that, first off, we're going to head back 50 years ago today. And on this date, 50 years ago today, on this date 50 years ago today, 60th issue of Richie Rich Millions went on sale from Harvey Comics on this date from back in 1973. It was a 48-page anthology series featuring, of course, Richie Rich, Little Dot, and Little Lotta. So on this date back in 1973, 50 years ago today, the 60th issue of Richie Rich Millions, Harvey Comics, went on sale as a 48-page anthology that you could buy for 25 cents. Wow. Well, wonders never cease. You can actually buy a comic for $0.25 or you could back then. Of course, you could buy it for a dime if you went back a little further in time. But anyway, now it's almost like $5, $6, $7 to buy a comic, and you don't get as many pages either. Anyways. Moving on to the next piece in each history as we head back 30 years ago today, as on this date 30 years ago today, if I can find it, Brian Lee, who some of you might remember as Chains in the WWE. Brian Lee wins a Smoky Mountain Wrestling TV title from Bobby Eaton at a taped event in Barberville, Kentucky, which aired on Smoky Mountain Wrestling TV on May 1st. Lee would vacate the title on June 7th after winning 5 consecutive matches, which for the Smoky Mountain television title at the time, that was the general rule. When you win it, if you had 5 consecutive title defenses, if you had 5 successful 5 successful title defenses, you'd have to vacate. You'd have to basically give it up. So with that, we'll get ready to move on to the next piece in each history here. That is now on this date in 2003. Distributed by Toho, the anime films Crayon Shin-chan. So on this date in 2003, 20 years ago, both films distributed by Toho here. Shin-El Animation's Crayon Shin-chan, Fierceness That Invites Storm, Yaikinku Road of Honor, as well as TMS Entertainment's Detective Conan Crossroad in the Ancient Capital were both released on this date back in 2003. So on this date back in 2003, both distributed by Toho, Shin-El Animation's Crayon Shin-chan, The Storm Called Yakinku Road of Honor, and Detective Conan Crossroad, and TMS Entertainment's Detective Conan Crossroad in the Ancient Capital. Of course, many of you might know that Detective Conan is case closed here in the States. But both of those films were released on this date back in 2003. So with that, we have one more piece of niche history, and we going back 10 years ago. And on this date 10 years ago, Amazon Videos. Yeah, let's see. Amazon Studios produced Creative Galaxy, a children's animated sci-fi web television series, premiered on Amazon Video on this date back in 2013. So 10 years ago today, Creative Galaxy premiered on Amazon Video back 10 years ago. So there you go. So I thank everybody for being here tonight. I hope you guys enjoyed the show, got a lot out of it. Also, don't forget, this Friday I'll have Terry from Mighty Geek Studios on as my co-host. We'll be continuing our look back to October 1939 of comics that went on sale that year. We'll be focusing on Marvel. we'll be reading up. Of course, we'll be reading, of course, from Marvel Comics #1, Marvel Mystery Comics #2, and Daring Mystery Comics. So, and tomorrow night, of course, I'll have the results of tonight's Dynamite episode. So with that, I thank everybody for being here, as well as more Neat News. Hope to see everybody back here tomorrow. Bye.